The little town of Geraldine. Had a lovely night's rest there at an Airbnb just out of town on a little farm. Well, good morning everyone. I got a question for my #1 fan, Katie Jean Kennedy of Reefton. She says, where are you going tomorrow? Now I've got a better idea. I'm heading up the south side of the Rangitata River to have a look at the area called Mesopotamia. What a beautiful name. That sounds somewhere like Greece, doesn't it? Mesopotamia. But anyway, this is the area up here, high country run, and I'm just leaving Peel Forest now to slip up into the foothills. Up here we go round that ridge to the left on the Lynn Stream. One river here draining from the left to the right into the Rangitata River. It looks as though they've had quite a bit of rainfall up in here. The weather today is very overcast. I was hoping that she'd blow clear and I'd have good sun up my back going up the valley to get some photography. But that's not the case, so we just have to make do with what we've got. Here's a nice line of lambs, weaned from their mums, yes, and are all drenched up, not crutched, but they're just filling out on that top tucker there before they go off to the works. Now they don't know what the works means yet, but they're about to find out when they fill out a bit more. It's not a holiday camp. There's been an accident back here. We'll just go back and see if it's all right. Are you all right down there, little fella? The New Zealand possum, in the exact condition we like to see them. A pest. So if you come to New Zealand and you'd like to help the economy, and one of those furry creatures run out, oh, here's another one. Look at that. It's exactly in the state we want them. If you see one, don't hesitate to blow them away with your front tire. We despise the buggers. Taller. Clouds are high. I'm hoping that it's going to blow and we'll get a clear sky up ahead. Rawls Creek here. Fairly new bridge. Hello, there's another introduced species there, a rabbit. You can put them under the other front tyre if you can get close enough to them, but they're quite furtive. Come on, Betsy, you can do it. So I'm getting a little bit higher now, and there's a big view way up the valley where we're going. This is just hill country farmland that we're on at the moment. They've still got their lambs on this farmland here, and the calves are still with the cows, so they haven't weaned them yet. Another Bona Vista up there. I'm turning my head that way but using my peripheral vision to stay on the road. There's a bit of dampness around today, but the road's holding together good under the bike. I'm doing about 3,000 revs in third gear and she's just sticking there like glue so far, but we need to be careful in case it changes dramatically and it flips me from vertical to horizontal. I was just saying to her there about the lady back there, I was just saying to her about a mob of Black Angus cows and how come they've all got coloured yellow and grey sort of cows. She said, well, it's the father, of course. You have to blame the old man. She said Murray Greys most likely. That's not her farm that I was talking about. That was Mount Peel Station stock. So on her farm they've just pulled the bulls in from the cows, and now they are in retirement until next season. Retirement. What a great thing it is, isn't it? And a mob of deer up here on the left. We'll see if we can get there, but deer are furtive bloody things. They bugger off and you can't get a close look at them. I wonder if a farmer would let me in there to roar around the paddock behind the buggers and see if I can get a close-up of them. But I think a deer can do about 50 kilometres an hour, can't they? So there's not much hope of keeping up in a paddock on a BMW F700 GS. Look at that. See, they were there on that ridge. They just poked their heads over the top. I can see them, but you can't. They're saying, what's he doing up here? Can you see them there? About 200 of the buggers going for it. See them all? I've got to watch the road. Beautiful animals. They're young hinds, look at it. Now let's see what this fodder is up here that they've got. When I was a boy, we used to grow chow molia and Swedes and turnips, but now it seems to all changed. This stuff must have more grunt in it. Beets and all that sort of stuff. So the next farmer will be able to tell me why they changed from turnips to this stuff here, whatever it is. Do you know what it is? Of course you do. I don't. It's not bloody cabbages anyway. Here's another mob of deer. Look at that. They're doing all right, aren't they? But sure as eggs, if I hit the sprags, they would disappear. If I sneak along here in first gear, maybe they'll not be so spooked. But the chances are of me falling into a bloody big hole here are quite high. The bike's bucking and kicking underneath me here. But they're big animals too, aren't they? Hey? No, this is too bloody dangerous what I'm doing. Get out on the road. Well, here comes my first Ford on this road. Does not look ominous. Let's check her out. Of no consequence. But that may not be the case when we get higher. This gravel here is inch minus, I'd say. She's twitchy, but behaving itself so far. The best strategy is straight up the guts where all the tyres going on this road go on it, as opposed to the side where it's all thrown over. See there on the inside, that's smoother there. I'll take that bit. But I've got to be mindful of anyone coming from behind going like a lunatic in a Toyota Land Cruiser. And there's no dust to indicate that anyone's coming from the other way like a lunatic in an old Land Rover. So I just bend my knees and let her gallop up here. I'm doing about, how fast am I going? 40 k's. That's not bad. And I'm using 2,000 revs in number 3. Now I could strip her up a bit more, but that means when you have a whammo, you skid a lot further. And the shorter distance that you skid on this stuff, when you're horizontal, the less blood flows from your skin. Now look across there, they are beautiful big slopes. There's a couple of vehicles out there. Can you see them there? They got boat trailers on them, so they've probably gone away up there in a jet boat for a shot. And what we mean by a shot, they're looking for escaped deer or feral deer out there on the river. Look, there's the gateway that they go out on. And they would have favourite spots to go to. A nice flat that they can walk the full length of the flat and chase anything off either into the river and give it one of those things called a lead bullet, or sneak up on the bugger and give him one in the neck. But the thing is, you shoot an animal out there in that river, and unless you've got a boat or a horse or a motorbike with 4 wheels, it is a battle to get it off there. And you don't want to waste it, do you? I don't know how much you get for a carcass of deer nowadays, what venison's worth. But it's not all easy, of course. You've got to get it home, and then you've got to get it to town to the meat safe. And that's all time consuming, because on hot days the flies come from miles around. They can smell a bit of fresh blood. They don't eat much, but they don't look very nice when they eggs turn to those wriggly things, and that's about when it gets up to being rejected. So you've done all that work getting out of bed at 4 in the morning, get your boat hooked up, your trailer hooked up, driving away up here, get the boat in the river just on daylight, go like hell up the river to your spot, and then bang, get your deer, get it all in, get away home. You've already done about 4 hours work, and say you're on $50 an hour, that would mean you have to get several deer, don't you, to make that pay. But I suppose it's sport and fun and the pleasure of the kill, whatever that is. Look at that beautiful big river way to hell up there. It's like a sea up there. It's that bloody flat. We've got a fair way to go yet. I don't know whether the road goes round that cliff on the other side. I'll start perusing that bank there to see if I can see if there is a road over there. There's some lambs there, weaned from their mums. So as we get higher, the type of sheep might change to more wool type and more suitable to this high country stuff. Sheep handling facilities here to the left and right, big yards, big mobs. Bit of shelter there for the staff while they're working, doing the final tune-up, and a shearing shed. Well, there you go. They'll be saying, look at that silly bugger getting away up there with his motorbike. But anyway, this is the beauty of New Zealand. These are public roads maintained by the council, and they punch way back up here into the Southern Alps, and this is not a private road at all. Look at that, that's a bit dicey. And so anyone can come in here, and you don't necessarily need a 4-wheel drive away up in here either. It's okay. Now I can tell by the stature of those and by their undercarriage that they are merino wethers, and they're down there on their crop just tidying it up after harvest there. Maybe they're going to have their bums tidied up before they go back up high again. This is a paddock of polled merino rams in there. So you can see by the numbers that equates to the size of the herd that they have to service. I'd say there's 100 odd rams in there. A few white ones here too. Wonder whether they're just killers. They look like killers to me. Forest Creek Bridge. Magpies up here too, and they've got today's fire danger is high. Well, I suppose that'd be right, even though the atmosphere is damp and humid. That there, if a wind came up and a fire was going, whoosh, it'd go across the top of it, wouldn't it? It is unbelievable to me how much land is up in here. This whole area, this side of the river, is called Mesopotamia. Way off the beaten track. Much bigger than the Lees Valley that I went into a couple of months ago. With all this hill country either side, and then this flat country here to bring your animals down for safety if the snow and ice is about. Another big crop here. A lot of chaffinch birds around too. You see them? I can see them all flying ahead of me there as I go along. They're feeding on the side of the road and looking for seeds and whatever they eat. Chaffinches. Can you see them in the sky just ahead of me? Thousands of the buggers. Just over the ridge to the right, you see a whole line of dead trees. I'm of the opinion that they're willows, and they don't want them up here. Here, there, you see these are live willows here, but out there they've put the helicopter above it with a herbicide and taken them out. See them out the back there? But there's acres and acres of them there, and that's probably a bit of wetland restoration in through there. Department of Conservation. But they kill out those trees and they just rot down 5-10 years time. They'll be just rotten old stumps in the ground and then slowly disappear in about 10 years time. So it's a good way to get rid of blinking willows. A bit of herbicide. Look at that, Tiara Trail, 2Ks, Havelock River exit, 5.5, Rangitata River exit, 3Ks, and let's go and see about Dr. Sinclair, 3Ks. Look, it's pretty obvious what this is. Do you know what it is? Come to the other side of it here and give you a bit of a clue. Hook her onto something big and charge off down the road. foreign snow and ice either side. I think we're starting to get to where we got to open and shut gates. The road conditions have changed. But we'll go up to Dr. Sinclair's grave and we'll see if we get a story there. Which road would you take? That looks to be out in the paddock. We don't want that one. This one here looks more promising. Let's go back out here and do this. And hello, we've got a helicopter just above us here now. Up there. Mesopotamia, private, no access. Well, that might be the end of that story. These boys have probably been away up there blowing over deer. Well, I just got talking to the helicopter pilot and he told me that up through here there's a school that I can go and have a look at, and that gate there that I turned around at said no access. Well, he's given me access, so that's magic, isn't it? Just being able to talk to someone and tell them that they who you know and what you know, and the gate's open. So let's go up here and have a look at this school for Mesopotamia. Well. Well, here's the opening plaque, 28th of April 1956, and here's the closing plaque. They had a function here in January 2000, and she's all shut down 14th of April 2000. Let's go inside and have a squiz and see if there's any pupils in here. Modified now to a bunkhouse, I presume. Nice fireplace. The whiteboard of where we are. Let's see if we can pick out where we are from here. Ashburton, Tekapo. I think we're up here. See, the next one over is the big lake, but we're up in here about the K and Cook. So my travel has been Tauranga, down over here, through the Karangaroo forest, over to Taupo, round the bottom here, over the top, down to Stratford on the old road, around the bay like that, down so. Then I came up here through the valley there called the Wairia, that's called Molesworth, over to Reefton, over there, and then back up through the rainbow there, and down to Christchurch, around the Banks Peninsula yesterday, down here to Geraldine, and now up into the Mesopotamia. The toilets, and where you hang your coat and hat there. Don't know how many kids will be away up in this place. And I bet that's the headmaster's room there. And this is the smoko room here. All the people that have come here for their education. Little store shed here. Few chairs and that for celebrations. Couple of bikes if people got a ride home instead of walking home. Sand pit there with all the toys in it. A climbing frame to develop your muscle. And a jungle gym. Can you just imagine all the kids having fun on this? That's great, isn't it? Big old tractor tyre. Hockey, I suppose, and down here for football. Well, she's left in abeyance in case the population gets going again, and they just need to clean the spouting out, give the dunnies a flush, and they're underway again. And this is probably over here is the schoolhouse where the teacher used to live. A plaque here for the Canterbury Centennial 1850 to 1950. On this site was Samuel Butler's homestead in 1861. Well, that's significant because that's the year that Burke and Wills walked from Melbourne right through the guts of Australia, up through the desert to the Gulf of Carpentaria, and then come on back down as far as Inaminka or somewhere there on the Cooper Creek, and laid down and died because they run out of water and food and sustenance. A vintage something or other that spent her entire life up here in the valley. Tyres are still up, a couple of miles left in her. Old Austin truck there. Mesopotamia and Peel Forest. Bit more modern cultivating gear here though, isn't it? Feeding out trolleys here, hay making rakes. This here feeds out too, get the round bales up on there and away you go. This one here you load her up and tip her out. And there's another one there to bowl the ghoulies under. And they're smartening up the tracks on this old girl here. Alright, let's bugger off up the valley a bit. Private access, but anyway, only if you haven't got permission. For there to be a fuel dump up here, there's something big going on. This looks like a construction that we need to check out. Let's go round here and have a look and see what it is. Any ideas? Well, let's have a reveal and see what's going on. Huh! A holding pond. They're going to make a lake here. Look at this. These blokes are putting clay round to get a seal on the bottom. Oh, she's as slippery as all hell too. But this is clay base on it. And they're working it and tamping it down to give her as tight a bottom as she can get. Is she going to hold together? Oh, oh, slippery, slippery. Oh, oh. So they put a layer down and pack her down, and put her down and pack her down. Well, this is a bit better. Oh, she's slippery though. So this is going to be a lake of some description for irrigation down on the paddocks further down. Jesus, she's soft here. I'd hate to get bogged. She's dancing, she's dancing. These are big scrapers here. They must go and get the mud. These are graders. See that beam up the end of the bar there? Well, that'll put a GPS level machine on there, and that would oh look, I see what they've done. They've put clay on there and then put a topper on it, and probably put plastic under that too. Yeah, that's what they've done. All right, so they probably put this layer of stuff down there about 1 metre deep, and then a layer of plastic, and then a bit more on the top of that. That's all right. Let's get out of here. The next time I come back here, this will be 30 feet underwater. Well, here's a bridge and a half, isn't it? I hope it's serviceable. I wouldn't get through that river on the motorbike there. My snorkel's not high enough. But anyway, while this bridge is here, we'll go on up. These are merino weathers. Oh no, I see a ewe there, but they're mainly weathers. Merinos. What age would they be? Could be 3 or 4 or 5. But you see the wool is dark, and once turn off your silly buggers. That's the trouble with sheep. They do get silly and keep on running, don't they? But I'll get past them. Got them. Here's the hay brought here on big trucks and just stored here, waiting for the snow and ice. This wasn't harvested anywhere nearby, but this is a line of fodder for the animals over the winter time. Let's have a look at the end of it here and we'll see what we got. Oh, she's pretty tightly packed there. There's the Angus calves there, weaned from their mums and doing their own thing now. And across the other side, I think that may be Erewhon there, and behind that red marker there is where they used that landscape on the other side of the river there for the battles in the Lord of the Ring movie. So that's probably as close as I'm going to get to it. Although, will we go through this gate and see what happens? Let's do it. So I've had enough. This bloody washout's all the way up here, climbing in and out of them. It's getting a bit too much for me. But that's way across the other side there to Erewhon on the other side. And away you go on up here. And you can just sometimes glimpse the snow and ice all the way through the back there. But it's very isolated here. So I'm going to use Fulton Hogan's cone here and mark my furthermost extremity here, and grab my bake and an egg pie out of the back here and call this the upper area of Mesopotamia that I ever came to. So it's 91 k's up this valley that I've come, and that's enough for me. It's all very well going right to the top, but you got to get back again. Let's try and do it safely. These rocks throw you around a bit. So up on the pegs and away we go. You see how those fellas enter their wools quite oily? They call it doggy, but that's good. It helps them shed the water off, you know, and doesn't let it get the dirt and everything get right down into the super duper wool. If you just crack that open, it becomes creamy, lovely wool in underneath there. So that's like an outer coat of protection for the inner A-grade wool. We just hope this bridge holds up for one more minute, really, and then it can do what it likes. Come on, Betsy, you can do it. I always bite off more than I can chew, and I had set myself the objective of riding up that other side of the river there to Erewhon, but that is not going to happen. Big old John Deere skidder there, rooting logs out and things, but I suppose they use that for crossing the river and everything way up further. Now which way did I come? Have a look at your map. Did I come out of there or did I come out of there? I come up here, I didn't come down that hill. I'm getting back to Mesopotamia Station now, and to avoid opening that gate I just go down this side here through their yard and pop out the other end there. That was a bluff there to stop you going any higher, but we never did find that doctor's grave, did we? We'll have to look it up on Google Earth and see what that's all about. Dr. Sinclair. He may have drowned in the river up there. So the helicopter's been put to bed, and we'll sneak down here at a gentle set of pace and try and get home safely. Hello, there's been a bad accident here too. That one is a hare. I think you could call it a stupid hare. It had all those hills there to run in, but it chose to play hare. You can tell that's a 3-year-old. See, it's got 3 whiskers. They grow a whisker a year. Hares are prevalent in all these hills around here. They're not such a pest like rabbits, but they're everywhere too. And I suppose they come to 1080 as well. I'm having a sort out of some Herefords here. Let's see what they're up to. Oh yeah, they got them in the yard there. in truckloads there ready to go out, so I better be careful. There could be a truck coming in, and they're not kicking up much dust, but observation is the key to managing risk, isn't it? Here's that paddock of rams again. Whole variety there. Horned merinos. My friend Peter Routley in Lockhart there, he has a Bond merino stud, but they are polled. Big tall animals, and they're well sort of. So he's got a polled stud and his son's got a white Suffolk stud. All interesting how they go about managing all those animals. Looking forward to getting back and catching up with those people. They're good, great people. There's some good big stags. Who would know how good they are? But there's a lot of points on that head. Look at this big fella laying down there. Normally they would be hightailing it up over the ridge there. They don't seem to mind me. Here's one instead. Look at how many points on that one. Be a 30 pointer. Well, I've been working my way down here carefully. It's so easy to get out of control with this bike on this pea gravel. So I've just come down steady all the way, and we're nearly out to the tar seal, I think. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway, because I'm nearly sick of this bloody gravel road stuff. But it's been a good ride. Lots of new things up there that I hadn't seen before. It was good to meet the manager of the Mesopotamia Station there, and he knew my family, and that sort of was the key to being allowed to go on up his farm and poke around the school and the big dam and all these implements and things. And I thank him for that. That's good. But now I just got to sneak out this road here. I'm only travelling at 30 in third gear, about 60 kilometres an hour, and that's enough. But as you can see, the hills have all changed now to hill country, rolling hills. And Jet Ranger here coming in, putting the chemicals round. Canterbury helicopters, and away he goes. Anyway, that's enough excitement for the day, so I'm going to close off now, and I've enjoyed myself away up in those hills there. Look at that, I'm bringing it back to I've enjoyed myself there, getting away up into the Mesopotamia there. So, good, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. I think this is the start of the tar seal again. No, the rough stuff is here again.